Hey y'all, I'm Sean.
I'm Matthew, and we are Broken Dreams Reborn.
Today is St. Patrick's Day, but another thing about today is we got another inspection on an RV. And what's different about this RV?
It's a brand new RV, and you still have to get it inspected.
So we waited for anticipation today because we got burnt like bad the last inspection that we got, so obviously we were nervous. And so we get the report back, and what was on the report?
It was overall pretty good. There were some small things. Let me think. There was maybe a couple staples that were not quite stapled down all the way underneath the carpet. There were a couple things that need to be fastened. There's a drawer underneath the stove that needs a latch. And I talked to the dealer and they said, yeah, there should be a latch there. Or I talked to the inspector and they said there should be a latch there. So they're going to put a latch on. The windows are kind of hard to open and they're a little squeaky, but everybody tells us that's just because they're new. They might put some lithium grease in the window tracks. Two or three of the bigger things are the leveling system. It works, but sort of. It's not leveling everything proper. The left to right is pretty good, but the front to back is so they're going to work on that. And then it comes with a spare tire, which a lot of RVs come with a spare tire, and it has like a crease running down the sidewall, which obviously if it's warped or creased like that, that's not good, so that has to be replaced. Am I forgetting anything? Anything big?
What was the other big thing? The cargo door wasn't big.
Yeah, there was a cargo door latch that just needs to be tweaked a little bit.
The front cap wasn't sealed properly.
That's it. The front cap, one edge of it wasn't sealed properly, so they're going to just seal that up and then wash the whole thing.
The kitchen sink holds water, but the bathroom sink doesn't hold water. And then one of the cabinets was warped, but they said they could probably get it ordered from the manufacturer and just replace that.
Yeah, the floor in the cabinet was warped. The cabinet itself looks fine, but the flooring was a little...
But I mean, being that it's new, everything's under warranty, so they should fix everything. It's still kind of, I wasn't feeling too good about it when we first got the report back, but then after Matthew dealt with our dealer, they said, oh, that's small stuff. And we're like, even the auto leveling is small. And they're like, yeah, that's not a big deal. So they made it sound like everything's gonna get fixed and we can still pick it up on the day that we had scheduled it, which today is March 17th and we're scheduled to pick it up March 22nd.
5 days.
So, and then we get to stay on their lot for 3 or 4 days, and they said you might find other stuff, which they said if we do, I mean, they'll fix it because it's brand new. So that's the difference between, I guess, buying used and buying new. They'll pretty much fix anything that the inspector finds because it's brand new and it's under warranty, whereas as if it's used, not so much.
Yeah, they do give a 30-day warranty for limited warranty for used ones, at least at Lazy Days in Tampa, but that's a very limited offer. It's nothing cosmetic. If the cabinets were FUBAR'd, then they're FUBAR'd, so what? It's just mechanical, functional stuff, essential stuff. But being new, we knew going into it there'd be some issues, but all of those issues will be addressed. And if they don't get all of them, and if we hit the road and there's still issues, which we know people who have bought expensive Class A's, and they still have issues down the road, we'll just get them worked on down the road. So that's what the warranty's for.
It's like Matthew was saying earlier to me, usually when a lot of people don't get an inspection, so they discover all of this stuff when they're on the
road,
the shakedown lot sometimes, or when they're on the road. So we've already got a step ahead in the game. Is that how you say it?
Sounds
We're
good.
A step ahead because we had the inspector find all this out for us, and we still might find some things. Hey y'all, so this is part 2 of why we think you need an RV inspector.
Yep. So in general, Why would you say it's good for people to have an inspector?
Because they can find things that you can't even find, and you definitely need one on used for sure to prevent you from buying something horrible, but definitely new, because the thing with new is the dealer, if you pick the right dealer, will get it fixed, and if you pick the right company, even if the dealer doesn't fix it, they'll fix it.
And even if you're buying used and you're like, listen, they're not going to pay for any of this stuff. New, they should. It should be under warranty, but used, they might not. But then you know up front, you know how much it might cost you 6 months down the road, a year down the road, or 2 weeks down the road, if and when you choose to deal with these obstacles. It's better to find out before you buy, always, than it is to find out on the road when it might seem like a crisis because you're new to the whole experience. Even if you're a veteran, all of a sudden it pops up, oh my goodness, this broke, oh my goodness, this ain't working. It's better to know, and you might be able to negotiate down the price. You might be able to get them to fix it. If it's brand new, like Sean said, they darn well ought to fix it. So it's just better to have an inspector, and our inspectors were wonderful. In our first inspection was with a used unit. It was a used fifth wheel, and it looked, like we said, all pretty on the outside, and on the inside, I mean, it had blemishes and stuff. It wasn't perfect, but then they started to go through and notice all of the bad things that we wouldn't have caught right away. We have figured them out eventually? Yeah, probably, but to quote the inspector, they basically told us that had we not, and this is after the fact, they weren't trying to sell themselves, we already paid them for the inspection. Jason, one of the two inspectors in the team, said, listen man, if you hadn't hired us to do the inspection and you would have got slapped in the face with this stuff on the road, there's a good chance you would have been so traumatized because this was so bad that you might have just folded up and said, we're done with RVing, we're not going to do it anymore, and our dream would have been dead because of one bad experience. Now, I don't want to play that kind of gamble. Neither does Sean. So, on the new unit that we just got inspected, which we're not telling you what it is yet, sorry, there were some simple things. There is carpeting in the bedroom, and that has to do with the slide. You can get carpetless slides, but in this particular unit, that it's carpeted, and apparently that's the more tried and true technology when it comes to the slides. You can get it carpetless, but there were some staples that were under the carpet, staples sticking up. You couldn't see them, but our inspectors walked around barefoot because they wanted to feel everything we would feel. They do that intentionally. I thought that was a great idea. I would have never thought of that if I had to inspect it barefoot. So that was easy to fix, and it got fixed. There was a drawer that needed to have a latch on it, because all your drawers should have latches so they don't just go to and fro when you're going down the road. It was just an oversight on the manufacturer's part. That got fixed. The windows and bay doors were hard to open, hard to latch. The windows kind of squeaked. Everybody told us that that was just because it was new, but it still had to be reported in the inspection. And are we on 3 weeks now?
Be 3 weeks Monday.
Okay, and we can report that the windows, some of the windows still have some resistance to them, but they're not as squeaky and they're not as difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
the bay door shuts good now.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Yeah, that seal got worn in. It's working well now. The auto level, that was a big thing. It did not level. It leveled left to right, but not front to back, and now it's leveling just fine. Just really good. The spare tire, Sean and I both are newbies to kind of the heavy-duty tires that you'd use on the trailer. I'm not going to mention what brand tire it is, but the spare is not the name brand. The name brand tires are on the rig itself, but the spare tire is not a name brand, and there were some vertical stripes. If you look between the rim and the tread, there were some stripes that looked like kind of warping. Now, to me, warping's bad. And our inspector said, I just want you to get it checked out with a professional, one way or the other, but I'm going to report it to you. And so he and Jason and Lisa, our inspectors, reported it to us. As it turns out, that's a normal part of the manufacturing process, or at least it can be, on the heavy wall tires because of the threads that they use on the inside, fabric cords kind of thing. Don't beat me up in the comments if I'm describing that wrong, but it can look that way. I looked at a lot of pictures. I did talk to tire professionals, and who inspected the tire, and they said it's fine. It's the way it's going to be for that kind of tire. And it's not a name brand because it's not the main tires, it's the spare tires, so I guess that's what you get. So that's fine. Sorry, I'm looking at notes. I can't remember all this. I mean, come on. So the front cap looks fine, but on one edge, I'm looking at it right now, on the left edge, as you're looking straight at it, I don't know what side that'll appear on the camera, it wasn't sealed properly. They just needed to run a bead of sealant down there, so they did that. That's done. The bathroom sink was not holding water, but the kitchen sink was. I don't know what they did to fix it. It was probably just a little gasket or something in the plunger, but it works now just fine, holds water. I use it every morning. One of the cabinet floors, so it's an overhead cabinet and it has a thin floor, and it was warped, as if, not water damage, as if there was too much material that got crammed into one section, so obviously it has to go somewhere, and it bubbled up. Again, not water damage. We're absolutely positive there's no water damage. So they fixed that. The cabinet shop in Lazy Days actually fixed that, no problem, and we're pretty happy with it. Let's see. The pantry trim, again, maybe that's a clue, maybe it's not. The pantry trim was kind of clumsily put on there. That's the best way to describe it, but they fixed that. Not a big problem for them to fix it. And let's see, that's what I have from the notes. It's basically stuff that sounds like a big deal sometimes to us because we're new, but was it a big deal? No. So our inspectors, now there are probably good inspectors everywhere. Even an inspector who's not top-notch is better than no inspector. Even if you have been doing this forever and ever and you think you know what to look at, it doesn't hurt to get it inspected, but it's up to you. Class A, Class B, Class C, truck camper, get it inspected. I don't care what it is. You're going to live in the darn thing. So our inspectors were Jason and Lisa. They are also full-timers, and they are level 2 inspectors from the NRVIA. And Jason is actually also an RV technician certified through the same group, and they have a lot of experience. They don't just have the certificates. To all you new inspectors out there, that's great. I applaud you. However, these people aren't new. They have experience under their belt. You can go with new, you can go with been around for a while, it's up to you. They're all good. All of them are valuable, but these people have a lot of experience in particular, and we're so new at this, we just wanted to make sure we got the best. So their website, which I'll put on the screen, and we'll have all this in the description below. We'll have their contact information. I won't rattle off everything here. You can find them. Is myrvinspection.com. And that's their website. Now, I'll put their phone number in the description. When they're not terribly busy, they do answer the phone. They only do one inspection a day, and they spend several hours there. They're in the Tampa area. They always told me that if I needed a technician or if I needed an inspector in some other area where they are not, to go ahead and call them and let them know, and they'll tell me if they have a contact that they would know and trust and use themselves in that given area. So if you're in the Central Florida region close to Tampa, or if you just want to bend their ear for a minute, I would encourage you to give them a call, send them an email, check out their website. They really are top notch. We've used them twice now, and I would use them 50 more times if we had to. Well worth it.
And if people are wondering, how did you find them?
I just poked around the internet, honestly, and looked for reviews, not just a big fancy website. I looked for reviews, Google reviews. You can't always trust the reviews, but I look for trends, and I look for what are the bad reviews, and honestly, I don't remember seeing anything terrible about them. And from using them twice, once for new, once for used, what can we say about them?
They were great.
They were great.
I'm so glad that we hired them twice. And because of their inspection, when we did go to pick up our RV, you have your dealer and then you have your handler. And we had the same handler and dealer for both the used and the new. And they just kind of they were just expressing how bad the first one was, because at first they didn't know that until the inspector basically tore it apart.
Right.
But they were just like, wow. And they said, you're not going to have a problem with this new one.
And in their reports, I don't remember how many pages it was. Like one was it 197 pages, and the other one was less than that. And the old one was the bigger one, honestly, and the newer one was like 120 or 30 some pages. But it's an online report, and that includes pictures and videos embedded. They'll say, hey, in our old one, in a used one, they pushed on the sidewall, and that's when the water came out from underneath that window seal. And they showed a video of that. If there's something that can be demonstrated by video, they'll do it. If there's something that needs to be a picture, they'll do it. It's not just put me to sleep now. 197 pages, are you kidding me? That's like, I don't know, reading a testimony or something. So it's very interactive. It's very helpful. And when you talk to them on the phone, they'll answer any questions. Hey, I'm a layperson, I don't quite understand this. They'll explain it to you. They're not going to tell you you have to do this or you have to do that, accept it, don't accept it. They'll just give you the information and if you've been there, if you press them enough, they'll give you their opinion. Hey, if this were mine, this is what I would do, but it's your choice. So very impartial.
And on a funny note, because they did such a thorough job on the used one, when it came time to inspect the new one, our dealer had it was her day off, but she came by to check on the inspector, and she's like, are you finding anything? He's like, I'm not done with the report yet. So like that afternoon, she texted Matthew and said, I'm so nervous, have you heard anything? Because she knows these guys are like really thorough.
Yeah. And she knows that we're going to pursue everything that needs to be pursued.
Yeah.
So, but she was so nice. The Lazy Days crew was great. And so, but this is about the inspectors, and they're well worth it. Hire one today, brand new, right out the gate, or they've been around for 20 years. It doesn't matter. Just hire somebody, a fresh set of eyes, somebody with training, somebody with experience, and they're going to help you. I guarantee it.
And if you have any questions about getting the RV inspected, just leave us a comment below. We'll try to answer it. Or if y'all have had an RV inspector, tell us what your process was like. Did you buy the first RV that you got inspected? How many times did you have to go through the process before you finally found a good one?
And did they really save your bacon by getting it inspected, either by not picking up that RV eventually, or by telling you something, hey, I wouldn't have known to fix this right away, and you kept the RV? Let us know your experience.
So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
And please hit the notification bell and subscribe. The bell's important because that way YouTube might actually let you know when we put out new content. And for all of you who have been subscribed and been part of the family, thank you very much. We appreciate you greatly, and please continue to hang around.
Bye.
Bye.